This week on C Plus News Time, Amy Poehler already has another comedy project in the works, NBC has the first comedy event series, and Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show, has made it to 100 episodes. Happy birthday! This celebration calls for cake. Somebody call Rihanna. While we wait, we can watch this. C Plus News Time.
It's C Plus News Time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
My therapist called me bipolar. I called him a jackass. Looks like I won the name-calling war. Welcome back to C Plus News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news you didn't know about for the week of May 30th, 2016. Our first story concerns Amy Poehler, who has always been a busy little beaver. Poor choice of words aside, Poehler's production company, Paper Kite, may have lost at pilot season this year with the NBC pilot Dumb Prince, but that's not stopping the business from marching forward, as production companies tend to do. Poehler is producing a project with Natasha Lyonne, Israeli filmmaker Talia Levi, and the BBC America. The show is called Zero Motivation and is described as, quote, a comedic drama set among women in the Israeli army. The series is written by Tammy Sager, who has written some great stories for Girls, Broad City, and Inside Amy Schumer. Next up, NBC is premiering what I can only assume is the first ever comedy event series. Better Late Than Never stars William Shatner, Henry Winkler, George Foreman, and Terry Bradshaw as they travel across Asia with no real plans in sight. Comedian Jeff Dye is going along with the crew with his own agenda. There's said to be some fun times ahead for the guys as they experience a different culture through set pieces only available on that side of the world. Better Late Than Never sets out on a journey on August 23rd at 10 p.m. And finally, this past Friday saw The Little Show That Could on the Little Network That Could premiere its 5th season. Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show spawned from Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast, has made it to a point that many shows don't make it to. And this season, its next achievement will be its 100th episode. That's a milestone that, admittedly, neither this show nor the network could have done in any other media-enjoying climate. Comedy Bang Bang doesn't get the biggest ratings, a fact that has been covered in passing during a few of host Scott Aukerman's monologues in the opening of the podcast. Actually, the show is said to get around 100,000 viewers on average. The podcast itself probably gets more downloads and plays put together, but the show doesn't need millions of viewers. It's not designed for that. It's for fans of the new wave of comedy. Alternative comedy is what they're calling it. To understand Comedy Bang Bang, one has to know where it came from. The podcast evolved from an improvisational radio show called Comedy Death Ray, also hosted by Aukerman, and then formed into the improvisational Bang Bang as we know and love it today. The TV show turned into a reality when IFC, then known as the Independent Film Channel, began airing reruns of Mr. Show and filming interstitials where actors and writers from the series would introduce behind-the-scenes tidbits, jokes, or just plain mess around with each other. Bob Odenkirk, Paul F. Tompkins, and Aukerman were just some of the names from the series that participated in the fun. Then, according to an AV Club feature in which Aukerman was interviewed, the network asked, "What would you do as a talk show?" after seeing the host have a good back and forth with fellow comedian Tompkins as they filmed a Mr. Show TV spot. The pilot was shot and thus the show was born. June 2012 saw the first season premiere with then bandleader / sidekick Reggie Watts. From that point forward, Aukerman and Watts, and later Kid Cudi and now Weird Al, would guide each episode tackling every single type of genre from Law and Order to Single Take to Upside Down. Yes, Upside Down is a new genre. All of this would happen under the guise of a normal, albeit charmingly odd talk show. Bang Bang on IFC mostly retains what makes the podcast special. There's a script, of course, but the interviews do have doses of spontaneity that podcast listeners are used to in larger chunks. Writing duties are headed by podcast guests and comedians Neil Campbell, Nick Wigger, Paul Rust, Eva Anderson, and Aaron Keating, as well as a few other funny people. And the guest stars stars are exceptional too. During the first couple of seasons, when guests included someone like Zoe Saldana and Jessica Alba on deck, there was a bit of hesitancy on the viewer's part, but the show proved to work with them and even the likes of Tony Hawk and Schoolboy Q. Along with famous guests, there are characters that pop by like Haley Joel Osment as Slow Joey, Mike Hanford as John Lennon, and Kristen Schaal as Gina Guppies. Weirdos from the podcast make their appearances too. Like the podcast Comedy Bang Bang, the show has transcended what its original intent was. The simple idea of a talk show doesn't cut it anymore. Those other guys may have their games and sing-along segments, but IFC, Ackerman, and Bang Bang have the pleasure to be a lot more weird. Congratulations on 100 episodes, Comedy Bang Bang. Here's to a few more. And that's all the news I have for you for this week on C Plus News Time. Why don't you subscribe and check out one of our videos? Of course, you can always head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where we've got the latest news, reviews, features, interviews, and other good comedy bits that only I can provide you with. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy, follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite, like us on Facebook, Tumblr with us on Tumblr, and if you live in New Hampshire, be sure to vote for your Congressman John H. Ryan, also known as Jonah Ryan. He's a rugged outdoorsman who's really good at chopping wood and chasing kids.